Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Friday night chill stream for Calls. Give me a moment as I get all of my chat settings up and going. But hopefully your week has went well. You are ready to relax, listen to some music, and get into some statistics-driven analytics. Is what we are here for with the unique week that the Farmers is, having a Wednesday to Saturday timeline. We are going to be looking specifically at round 4 showdown for tomorrow. A lot of interesting things going on, so feel free to jump in chat, join me there. Any questions that you have, would be interested in hearing any wagers that you have going. How are your lineups? I can show you all of that stuff for me as well. I see my lighting. I've got a little bit of shade. Give me one moment. I am going to reverse my lighting situation here. Hopefully that'll be a little bit better. Give it a moment and see how that looks on my screen here. Yeah, it looks a little better. But welcome. So when I look at Showdown, specifically for a PGA Tour tournament, first thing I like to do is take a look at the weather and what it is supposed to do tomorrow. So I've brought up Wind Finder over here. Let me expand it for you. Hopefully that's a little bit easier to see. Tomorrow, there doesn't appear to be much. There really doesn't. Very light winds, gusts into the low teens. So I don't see a particular favor in terms of early or late. I really don't. And I believe the starting tee time tomorrow, well, shoot, I had it up and I think I closed it out. So we can take a look at that after a little while. But the main story here with Wind Finder is there just doesn't appear to be anything. There does not appear to be any kind of favor for morning or afternoon. But I'll keep that up. I'm going to go ahead and move to Fantasy National. And this is the breakdown on Fantasy National. I'm going to bring up a side-by-side here with ESPN because I want to see how the courses have played, or at least the South Course specifically, has played this week compared to how it normally plays. And it has played a tad bit differently this week. So the first hole is a tenth of a shot easier. Then the second hole has been a little bit more difficult, but nothing too out of the ordinary, except for hole 5 here. Hole 5 typically plays to a tenth of a shot over par, and this week it is actually played under par, almost a 2/10 of a shot swing. So instead of being a tenth of a shot harder, it's almost a tenth of a shot easier this week. Now, no eagles, nobody's holed out, but 13 birdies, quite a few pars. I am quite confused here. I don't think this has to be 63, right? If it's playing under par, there's no way that 13 birdies and 58 bogeys would equal a scoring average under par. I think this is a typo. I'm sorry, that is what's really kind of throwing me off here. And again, we're on the South Course, but according to ESPN, the fifth hole is playing easier than it typically does. Now, hole 8 is playing a little bit harder, but there really aren't any great sets of 3 holes in a row to get your birdie strings, and that's a huge factor in Showdown. You want to try to target the part of the course that is easiest to where you can get your 3 birdies in a row streak bonus points. Well, at Torrey Pines, that's pretty difficult because Torrey Pines is very hard. Having said that, there are a couple of stretches. The first one being in this 6 through 10, really is about the best opportunity. And that is why I am leaning slightly to players that are teeing off on the front 9 tomorrow. Now, every single player in the field will play holes 6, 7, 8, and 9 in succession. So that part doesn't matter. The fact that some players get to play 8, 9, 10 in a row, particularly 9 and 10 in a row, is a big bonus because those are 2 of the 3 easiest holes on the course. 2 of the 4. Surprisingly, 18 this week, which unfortunately is getting cut off because my goofy self's in the way. You see over here at Fantasy National, it's normally the 17th easiest, the 17th most difficult, or the second easiest hole on the course. Well, this week it's only playing to 0.05 under par. It's playing 0.2 of a shot harder this year. So 18 has not been the scoring opportunity it has been in years prior. So because of that, I am wanting to target players that are teeing off on the front 9, all other things being equal. Now, you know, if there's somebody that I think is really outperforming their metrics and they're teeing off on the 10th, is it deal breaking? No, because they still get the easiest part of the course for the most part, just like everybody else. They just don't have that extra hole to try to take advantage of. So the first thing I like to do when evaluating Showdown is to figure out what part of the course I'm trying to attack and see if that course is susceptible to a tee time difference. And in this case, there is a little bit of one, with the 10th being about the 4th easiest hole. So I am looking for players that are teeing off on hole number 1 tomorrow. I'm going to close out the course breakdown, and I'll also close out of this. But now let's move on over to Microsoft Excel, and I'm actually going to move Fantasy National over here to this other side. But what I've gathered here, and again, I stress 100% transparency that I would not be able to do this without Fantasy National. It is an amazing tool, the best out there. Really, if you're not a member at Fantasy National, you really need to go check them out because it is well worth your investment. But I've gathered the strokes gained stats for the players that have made the cut, and you see that they have 999'd out anybody who missed the cut. So I've got all of the strokes gained stats for the players that have made the cut. And I'll have this up off to the side in the background here if we want to take a look at some maybe the tee to green or birdies and bogeys and whatnot. But you see I've brought in a few other metrics as well. I've brought in difficult. Everybody knows that Torrey Pines tends to play on the difficult end. And originally I had windy. I brought in the windy metrics. I now have brought in strokes gained total when it's calm due to the forecast. But I have brought over both in case you want to factor in, or if you think the winds are going to pick up more than what the wind finder forecast is saying. And I apologize, I'm going to have to leave the computer just for a second. I realized I did not grab my water when I went live. So I'm going to be back in 15 seconds. Oh. Because nobody is going to want to have me have a coughing fit on the stream and with no water to take care of it. So apologies for that 15 to 30 second cherry stream. But I've brought over all of those metrics from Fantasy National leading into this week. So that is what you see here. The strokes gained total when it's difficult, strokes gained total when calm, strokes gained total windy, and that's going from the beginning of 2022 forward. Now, also, you see here, these are the in-tournament statistics. And it's important to note that all of these are measured only on the South course. So we have 2 of the 3 rounds to measure. It's not perfect, but it's what we have. So this is not factoring in their performance on the North course. Now certainly their position, where they are in the tournament is, but in terms of strokes gained off the tee, approach, around the green, putting, only the South course is being factored in. This last column is the difference between the players who made the cut. And again, if a player missed the cut, they were $9.99 out in Fantasy National. So of the players that made the cut, where they ranked in comparison to everybody else who made the cut on POA, Fast and Lightning POA to be precise, and how they have performed this week. So again, this top line here, John Rahm, and I'll zoom in for you one more. Hopefully that makes it a bit easier to see. But John Rahm has been the 15th best putter, again, of the players that made the cut this week. He's normally 20th on Fast and Lightning POA greens of this same group of players that made the cut. So you see he's outperformed his putting metrics by 5 spots. That's what that means. Justin Thomas has underperformed by 23. Taylor Montgomery 43, and so on and so on. So I want to explain what these statistics are first before we start analyzing players based off of them. The other thing you should note, and I do this every week, but in case you are a first-time viewer, the other thing that I do is I color coordinate anybody who has had an eagle on a par 4 or ace to par 3. Those are just circumstances that you can't expect you can't rely on those. And those players generally have, an artificially high score because they've holed out. Now, it certainly it represents in their strokes gained approach, but it's just nice to know. For example, Sahith Theegala today holed out on the second hole to the par 4 today. So while he is sitting fourth and he has had some very good approach numbers this week, that one hole certainly has helped him. So, he should probably be one shot worse than what he is. But he's the only one of the players that have made the cut that hold out on a par 4 or aced a par 3. Everybody else has gotten an eagle on a par 5. And as I was explaining at the beginning with Windfinder and the ESPN and all that stuff, I went ahead and highlighted anybody in light blue who is teeing off on hole number 1 tomorrow. Again, that is the portion of the course that I'm trying to attack. So I want to highlight and give those players more credence in my consideration. And again, with hole 1, especially it being the last day, it's just the people who are up at the top of the leaderboard. With the exception of Peter Malnati, he is the one player that is T39 that got the hole number 1 tee time, just due to when he finished his round and all that stuff. So I went ahead and highlighted the players that are playing the course, or the side of the course I prefer them to, meaning teeing off on hole number 1. So let's run through this a little bit here. And especially with Showdown, positioning is going to matter. So right off the bat, somebody like Justin Thomas, who is 10,200 and is so far back, it's really, really difficult for me to justify using Justin Thomas, despite the fact that he is the third best when it's difficult. He's the best in the wind, if you think the wind picks up. He's underperformed his putting by a lot. But again, the fact that he is T39 really gives me a lot of pause. Because that is a lot of people he has to jump to get those placement points. The other end of the spectrum, somebody like Tony Finau, seems like he would be pretty darn core, especially since he plays very, very well whether it's calm or windy. He has traditionally played well when it's difficult. He's been the third best with the irons at the 2 rounds at the South Course, and he is drastically underperformed his putting on POA. He's been one of the worst of the players that made the cut, and he's generally middle of the pack. So to me, right off the bat, the fact that he's also sitting in third, this to me would signify that Tony Finau should probably be core on a lot of teams and a lot of rosters that you construct. I really like what I see here from Finau. Morikawa, a lot of the same. Now, one of the reasons I was really, really high on Colin Morikawa this week is that normally his POA putting is not bad. He's not a very good putter, but normally his POA putting isn't bad. If you watched any of the CBS coverage today, you would know CBS, NBC, whichever one it was. His putting was atrocious. It was horrendous. So that gives me a bit more pause. But again, just looking statistically, everything lines up for Colin Morikawa to be a very strong consideration. I'm not going to bold him and increase the font or anything like that, but Morikawa seems like he should be a strong consideration in a lot of your lineups. Let me make sure I've got my music set to cycle through. I don't want it to stop midway through the stream and go silent. I would go crazy. Somebody like Keegan Bradley here, while he has been the second best when it's difficult, I see that he has outperformed his putting by 55 people, essentially, 55 places. And that gives me a whole lot of pause. A whole lot of pause. Because Keegan's not a very good putter. Not a very good putter at all. He certainly has gotten better recently, but a lot of his success was on bent greens. So, while I'm not going to outright put him in red, I am going to put him in orange. If you're overperforming by that much in putting, it's really hard for me to trust you. For as much as I did talk about Sahith Theegala perhaps being artificially high, the fact that he is sitting in fourth, you are fairly comfortable with those placement points. He's been very good around the green, which you have to do here at Torrey Pines. He's been very good with his irons. And he has been really bad with the putter, and he's normally pretty good on POA. California guy, played at Pepperdine. It makes a lot of sense. I like what I see from Colin Morikawa. I don't know if I'm willing to make him core just yet, but I do like what I've seen here. Now, he would probably fare better if it were in the wind than what is projected to be calm. But, again, I like seeing that he has drastically underperformed his putting. The irons are there and all that. Other players that might be somewhat interesting. I'm looking at a Wyndham Clark who, of the players that have made the cut, he would have been the fourth best on POA putting. He has been the worst this week. There were 73 people that made the cut this week at Torrey Pines. He therefore has been the worst putter this week of the players that made the cut. I would think that has to improve. So that gives me some hope for Wyndham Clark. Justin Rose. Again, the irons have been there, but he's not been around the green successfully. Off the tee has not been great either. Excuse me. So, don't know what to make really of Justin Rose. Like Ben Griffin, like these players that don't have any historical putting metrics, it's going to be really hard to measure. So you kind of have to just go by, all right, how their irons, how's their around the green, perhaps off the tee. Now with Thomas Detry, he has historically not played well when it's calm, so that's given me some pause there. Ben Griffin is giving me pause because his irons haven't been very good, and he's generally a fairly good iron player. Gary Woodland, somebody else that I would probably stay away from. He's probably going to rise in the standings, but I don't think you can take that chance. The irons have been bad. He has been the second worst putter, even though he's generally middle of the pack. But he's been the worst player. Again, there's only 73 players that made the cut. He has been the worst player at the South Course for the 2 rounds. The worst. And he generally plays difficult courses well, but he just hasn't this week. And with him being in 72nd, I mean, that's just a lot of ground to make up to get those placement points. I'm just out. Sam Ryder at 7,500. It just seems like a bargain. I mean, he's leading the tournament, and he hadn't played bad. You know, he's actually underperformed the putting a little bit. He's been very good with his irons. He might not win, but those placement points at 7,500 it feels like a bargain. In the same way, Ryan Palmer kind of feels like a bargain. He's been very good with the irons. He plays well when it's calm. He's been the 5th best player at the South Course this week so far. I like Ryan Palmer. He generally plays the Farmers Insurance Open well anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and completely bold and increase the fonts across all the way across on these players. But to me, that feels like 3 players that are pretty darn core. Ryan Palmer is the shakiest of these 3. But again, in his metrics, he's underperformed his putting. He's still in 15th. So being in 15th, he's going to be he's going to tee off on hole number 1, which is the part of the course that I want to target. He's been number 4 on the irons. There's just a lot to like here. Conversely, look at somebody like Ben On or Joseph Bramlett, both of them. They've both severely overperformed their putting. Now, the irons have been good for both of them. Not great, but good. But, like Joseph Bramlett especially, he generally doesn't play well when it's difficult, doesn't play well when it's calm or windy, generally. So, like, Joseph Bramlett is somebody that I would be quite hesitant on, if not outright no. He is sitting in 9th, but I think he probably comes back to the pack a little bit. On is different only because he's played calm well. But I mean, it's still not great. I don't love it. But, you know, he has played well when it's calm, and it's supposed to be calm tomorrow. Callum Tarrant, kind of interesting. S.H. Kim's kind of interesting. They both play good when it's calm. Now, Tarrant usually plays really well when it's difficult, so I'm more willing to believe that number. S.H. Kim's just been playing well regardless. We don't have any putting stats for him on POA, so we don't really know if he's good or bad. But he's been decent this week, 21st. So S.H. Kim is worthy of consideration, absolutely. I like Callum Tarrant. The irons scare me for sure, yes, but he's been doing it around the green. what you have to do around Torrey Pines. So, okay. For the same reason Ben On is, at least thinking worthy of a think. Same for Taylor Moore. Again, he doesn't generally play difficult courses well. But he's very good when it's calm, and he is drastically underperformed his putting. So I don't really know if I should highlight him in a certain green or an orange or whatever, but Taylor Moore might be worth somewhat of a look. I think Sam Stevens here might be pretty damn close to core. Look at here. He's been okay when it's difficult. Not the best, but certainly not the worst. He's very good when it's calm. He's been very good with the putter this week, and because we don't have any stats, all I can really say is that he's having a good week. Maybe he likes Poa, maybe he doesn't, but he's been the 9th best putter in the 2 rounds at the South Course. He's been tied for the 10th best player at the South Course this week in those 2 rounds. And being in 9th, I kind of like Sam Stevens a lot to be a part of a core. Coming any further down into the 6s. Garrick Higo, yes, he's been very good off the tee. His irons have been okay, but man, he's just, I don't know. I don't know if I can ever figure out Garrick Higo. He might be another Cameron Champ to me. I don't know. Scott Piercy, irons have been really good, and he's generally good when it's difficult. But look, he just doesn't play calm weather very well, and he's overperformed his putting by a decent amount. I think that is worrying. I don't think he's an outright, write him off. Other players down here, the ones that are highlighted in blue, like Kevin Tway, he's been solid all week. But man, these numbers are just not good. So, Adam Schenk, kind of the same way, except he's overperformed his putting by quite a bit. The irons haven't been as good, so I would be quite concerned with that. Now, Jimmy Walker has been okay across the board, slightly overperforming his putting, slightly. But he, again, is generally better in the wind. So I would have concerns with Jimmy Walker. Or, I'm sorry, I keep saying Jimmy Walker, Michael Kim. I would have concerns with Michael Kim. Malnati, the same, except he's generally a better putter than this. But it's not supposed to be windy tomorrow. I'm not really all that there with Jimmy Walker. He's played well this week, but he usually doesn't. The off the tee's been bad. The irons have been bad. He's been doing it around the green. Coming back up, more so into the top end of the leaderboard. Now that we know, kind of, at least for me, the high or the lowest I would go is the Sam Stevens very comfortably. I do kind of like a Sam Stevens here. If we come work our way back up towards the top end of the price board, Justin Thomas, I keep looking at Justin Thomas. I don't know how you justify that high of a cost. Unless you think he's going to come out tomorrow and shoot a 63, which, I mean, it's Justin Thomas. He has all the ability in the world to do that. That's a lot of ground to make up, position wise. Taylor Montgomery, generally a very good putter, so that is worrisome, sure. Or I mean, that would give you cause for belief. But I mean, the irons have been worrisome, and he's generally not played well when it's difficult. Early on in his career, he has not been great when it's difficult. So that's given me a whole lot of pause with Taylor Montgomery. It's not a full-on write-off, but boy, if you're asking me to choose between Thomas, Montgomery, and Finau, I mean, you can see where I'm at with that. Like if I'm looking at the 4 core players that I've written down right now, and he's certainly not just $3. Aha. There we go. He's certainly not $3. I wish it was $3. $10,000. If you go with Tony Finau, I'll come down here on these guys. Ryan Palmer. And who was the last one? Sam Stevens. I mean, we got $9,000 per player here. Since we're willing to go at 67 for Sam Stevens. You got $9,000 per. Like, Tagala seems okay. Like, if you look at Xander, he's generally the best putter of the players that made the cut on POA. Best player when it's calm. Tied for 15th. He seems like he would be a solid choice. I don't know if I would say core, but solid choice. Max Homa looks very strong. Very good whether it is calm or windy, but the irons number 2 this week. He's generally the 10th best putter on POA. He's another California guy. Like, the more I look at Max Homa, the more I like and think he probably needs to be core. And, I mean, look at the placements that you have here. You've got Finau 3rd. Can he win the tournament? Sure. It's really hard to see him making up that many shots. Same with Homa. You've got Sam Ryder, who's number 1. So you got 3rd, 4th, 1st, 15th, and 9th in terms of placement. Now we're at 9,000. This is conveniently Sahith Theegala, which I'm okay with. I think Sungjae is probably a pretty good bet for tomorrow as well. Now, the off the tee has been pretty darn worrying for Sungjae. But if he finds the fairways, he'll be okay. Excuse me. Day, I'm a little bit more hesitant, lukewarm on. Yes, he's very good when it's calm. But his iron play has been real shoddy this week. And even though he's overperformed his putting, it hasn't been by so much that he's an automatic write-off. Like, I'm going to put Day in the lightest of light green, because that his putting, or his iron play has been troublesome. I'm not liking what I see from that. Siwoo, I think I can be off of. Like he's 32nd, so he's got a lot of ground he would have to make up. He's really overperformed his putting by a lot, and he's not been very good off the tee. I think I'm okay getting away from Siwoo. Hideki has been solid. I mean, real solid this week. He's been getting around the green. I talked about it all week. This is why I have a win ticket on him. It's not going to come through, obviously, but I have a win ticket on Hideki because he was pretty good on POA. Anytime you can get Hideki with any kind of decent putting metrics, you got to watch out for him. So I think Hideki would be a strong play tomorrow. McNeely, again, I mean, he's been the best putter and he's pretty good on POA, so that's not really much of a stretch to say. But everything else has been pretty darn bad. And that's a lot of ground to make up. Like, I don't think so. Hadwin, generally middling in POA performance. But, I mean, this is another reason why I was high on him. He's been playing difficult courses well. He's been getting around the green. He's been hitting his irons pretty good. Like, again, he's not core by any means, but I think Adam Hadwin would be, well, he is 32nd. I'm going to put him in the same shade as Jason Day. Like, that's a lot of ground to make up. But I like his chances more than, say, Siwoo, who's in the same position. Maverick, McNeely in the same position. Like, I would expect Adam Hadwin to play better than those two tomorrow. I really don't want any part of Brendan Steele. Like, he's been driving the ball well. His irons have been okay, but it's the same thing. Like, he's not a very good short game player. He's not a good putter at all. Yes, he's fine when it's calm, but I'm not going to put him in red. I'll put him in orange because, I mean, he is top 10 when it's difficult. He plays very well when it's calm, and it's supposed to be calm again tomorrow, but you're playing Brendan Steele for the relative safety because I don't think he's going to rise in the standings. But I mean, you see with the team that I have here, I'm going either Sahith Theegala or Hideki. I mean, I think I would have to take Sahith Theegala of those two just because of the placement points that he's at right now. But again, I don't mind Hideki. So there's one look at a team that I think is pretty darn core. You got Finau, Homa, Sam Ryder, who's in first. Ryan Palmer looks like he should be okay. Again, a lot of that being predicated that it's calm because he's played very well this week, especially on the South Course. And then Sam Stevens, who, again, plays well when it's calm. He's played well all week. He's a bit more speculative, sure, but I'm sure you will either hear or see the second regular to the stream here shortly. She has decided to wake up from her nap. Yep, there she is. You woke up, didn't you? No, she's not going to talk because you're going to make a liar out of me. All right, let's talk about the guy. Let's talk about Jon Rahm. That is very, very expensive. $11,100. Now, do I think he wins the tournament tomorrow? I think he catches Sam Ryder and wins. Yes. So by that thought process alone, you'd have to almost make him core. But I'm wondering if we can make some lineups here with John Rahm that don't have to use one or even any 6Ks. And another thing with John Rahm, he's going to be chalky. He's going to be very chalky tomorrow. Guaranteed. Because I'm sure everybody believes that he will catch Sam Ryder. Having said that, I think you need to use Rahm and Ryder. I don't see Sam Ryder, disappearing by any means. I don't see him blowing up for a 78 or whatever. If we go John Rahm, is there any way we could fit? I'm gonna put in a Sung Jae here. We might have to drop down further to, Hideki or maybe Adam Hadwin, but I'm gonna see if I can't fit a Sung Jae. There's Sam Ryder. Again, like these 72s down here, or 73s, S.H. Kim, Callum Tarrant, don't hate either of those. Like Robbie Shelton, it could be kind of interesting. Now, the issue with Shelton, obviously, is he's way far back. But I do think he plays well tomorrow. Is it enough to warrant a spot in your lineup? That's hard to say. That's going to be a lot of ground to make up. But he's generally okay on POA. He's been one of the worst this week. The irons are there too. So, I don't know. That's just a lot of ground to make up. I'm going to use. Let's go with a Callum Tarrant. We're still at that 77,450 or so. Is there anybody here in the low sevens? Let's see, Taylor Moore. We talked about him a little bit. He's not good when it's difficult. He's generally not good when it's difficult. But he does play okay when it's calm. I guess I wouldn't hate that. Put him in that. Molinex does not play well when it's difficult. Now, the irons have been there this week, but he's generally an off-the-tee type player, and his off-the-tee game has been shit. So, kind of out on Trey Molinex. Alonto Griffin, T15 right now. Generally better in the wind. He's been very good at putting, but that gives me some pause. Kevin Yu, again, more of the same. He's not good when it's difficult. Now, the irons have been there, but no other part of his game has been there. So that really dampens my belief in Kevin Yu. Shoot. Sorry, minimize chat for a second. Like Shelton, Griot, these guys are on the back nine. Again, I would almost prefer to attack the front nine more so. Johnny Vegas is interesting here. He's interesting because he generally is okay when it's difficult. He plays long courses well too. He's good when it's calm. And his metrics are right in line with everything I'd want to see. Like the irons are okay, around the green's been okay. He's generally not a good putter on POA, so he's been at the base. I think Vegas is fine. I don't hate that play at all either. if I go, and again, I'm just in the spirit of trying to use some different names here. That's not how you spell his name. Stupid. 77. It's Ricky, who is T10 right now. The irons have been good. Off the tee, he's been the 10th best player at the South Course this week. Slightly overperforming his putting, but I mean, I don't hate it. Not in love with it, but I don't hate it, I suppose. Burmester gives me some pause. The irons haven't been there, and he's generally better in the wind, and tomorrow's supposed to be calm. So I mean, I'll put him in a light-ish green, but I'm certainly not in love with that play. It's kind of the same with Detry. A lot of the same as Detry, really. I mean, look at these two. They're tied for the same spot as well. They're tied 24. So would there ever be any reason to use Thomas Detry instead of Dean Burmester? Because Burmester's 300 cheaper. Yeah, I suppose so, because Detry's metrics have been a lot better in terms of irons and around the green. He doesn't have any putting metrics, so we can't say definitively he's under or overperforming. He's just been really bad this week. So I guess there is a reason you could justify using Detry over Burmester, sure. Okay. Like, to me, it's the same name, but I would just use Ryan Palmer. I would just use Ryan Palmer. I think he's pretty darn core. Again, around the fact that it's supposed to be calm tomorrow. He's been the 4th best iron player. He's been the 5th best player at the South Course. Hey, James. Doing all right. Doing all right. We're working through some of this round 4 showdown. But in terms of my specific lineups, well, first off, let me say that my wagers are actually have some chances tomorrow. I had 2 win bets. They're both alive, technically. Hideki was 1. I've been really high on Hideki. Now he's 8 shots back or whatever. I mean, that's a lot of ground to make up. So I don't think... I mean, you basically is going to count that as a loss. But, you know, the reasoning behind Hideki has been solid. And he's played well this week. Now, the win bet that is still alive is Sungjae. I bet him at 22. So he's got an outside chance. Do I think he wins tomorrow? No. I mean, I think everybody and their brother thinks John Rahm's going to win. I'm no different. But I do have Sungjae win ticket. But I also have top 20 tickets on Ryan Palmer, who's sitting T15 right now. And I have a top 20 ticket on... I just saw his name. Where'd he go? I literally just saw him. Where the did he go? On Lonto Griffin. There he is. I don't like his chances tomorrow, but I do have a top 20 ticket on Lonto Griffin as well. And Lonto Griffin was 7-1 to top 20. So I've got some pretty... I'm looking good in the wagers. I've got potential, which means I'm not going to win shit tomorrow in wagers. That's how this works. However, specifically with my lineups, anybody in black missed the cut. And then these are the players and the number of times I used said players. One player in particular destroyed my lineups. It was Cameron Percy. I was very, very high on him this week. And at 6,700, I thought he was worth the gamble. It wasn't going to, destroy my team like a Will Zalatoris did a lot of people. Yes, I used Will Zalatoris, but I only used him once in the 16 lineups that I submitted. So I was much more comfortable using a whole lot of Cameron Percy than I was, and losing to a Cameron Percy, knowing that he was going to be very unique, and that if he did make the cut, I was looking golden, versus Will Zalatoris. Now, the one thing that I'm very, very upset with myself with, I talked up Colin Morikawa all Tuesday night. And then I only used him once because I got scared about his tee time. I did. I got scared about his tee time. He had the good first day, and then teed off late on the South Course on Wednesday. That scared me off a little bit, and I'm not happy about it, but such is life. In the same concept, the same vein, I overused Patrick Rogers, and I even said Tuesday night that I just really don't like Patrick Rogers, but he had one of the best tee times. I think he had the second. I think he either went off at 9 or 9:10 on Wednesday on the North Course. Perfect setup. And he shoots +5, I think, on day 2. So, Patrick Rogers might be dead to me. But that's neither here nor there. But there's a look at my lineups. You see, I only have one 6 of 6, but it is somewhat solid. Sung Jae made a big move today. Hideki has played well. Keegan made a good move today. And Gary Woodland shit the bed today. So, I mean, good and bad in that lineup. But, you know, the $20, you know, the massive tournament, the pitch and putt, I have a very good 5 of 6. Now, Thomas hasn't played well. But Homa, Day, Keegan, they're all top. I know Homa's 4th. I think J-Day's 15th right now. Keegan's up there. So, I mean, that lineup is not cashing at the moment, but I think will by the end of tomorrow. I really do think this lineup cashes by the end of tomorrow. And a lot of these other 5 of 6s have been pretty damn solid. You know, Sahith, Detry, Hardy's been... I can't remember where Hardy is. Montgomery was really bad today, so this lineup kind of tanked a little bit. But again, another Sung Jae, Jason Day, Adam Hadwin, a Finau, Day, Tagala, Keegan, and Johnny Vegas. Like, all of those guys, I think, are right now in the top 25. So that lineup is doing some good work. So, potential. But thanks for jumping in chat. Let's see what we can conjure up here for some round 4. And not sure how much you've been able to catch, but right now there doesn't appear to be any wind, and we can do a quick review for those who have been here as well. But again, quick review, and I'll reload this. There does not appear to be any wind tomorrow, or little wind. So because of that, I don't see any favor, morning or afternoon. So the first thing I like to check is wind, what the weather's supposed to be. So now that we've done that, I'll close it, but that is what the forecast is for tomorrow. Next thing I like to do, let's see if we can't figure out what part of the course we want to attack. I closed ESPN, but we can look at the course breakdown. What I can tell you from memory is that the 18th on the South Course has played to not played as easy as that. It normally plays a quarter of a shot under par. So far this week, it's played 5/100ths under par. So it's played 2/10 of a shot harder than it normally does. So this, semi stretch of what? 16, 17, 18, 17, 18, and maybe 1 is not nearly as easy as it normally is. Because of that, I really like the guys who are teeing off on hole number 1, particularly because they have hole 10, which is played under par this week. Hole 10 is played under par this week. So the easiest part of the course, again, this week has been 8, 9, and I think 6, 8, and 9 are the 3 of the 4 easiest, I think. Again, there's no guarantee that that's a 3 birdie stretch, but hole 7 hasn't played as difficult as it normally has either. And because of that, because of the essentially what I'm going to deem a bonus hole or a bonus chance, the players who are teeing off on hole 10, they don't get that wraparound. Now they certainly get, the easiest part of the course, 6, 7, 8, 9, but they don't get that bonus hole, if you will. The 10th. And the 10th is played under par this week. So I am targeting guys who are teeing off on hole number 1 this week, or tomorrow. Now, if somebody's teeing off on the back 9 on the 10th, is it an absolute deal breaker? No. If I see somebody that I like their stats, and I'll kind of go through them here, like Luke List. He plays very well when it's calm. He's been very good off the tee, but even his irons haven't been very good, and that's a lot of ground to make up. Alex Smalley, very good when it's difficult, but he generally does his best work when it's calm. Or, when it's windy. So, not in love with that. Pendrith is not a short game player, and he's been doing it with short game this week. So his ball striking hadn't been there this week. I don't really like that. And the problem is for the guys, especially on a 4th round showdown, the guys who are teeing off on hole 10 are the guys that are in the back portion of the leaderboard standings. They got a lot of ground to make up to get those placement points. So I just don't see a whole lot there. The one player that might be worth it, maybe, is Justin Thomas. But again, he's sitting in 39th. That's a lot of ground to make up. But it is Justin Thomas, so I have him in orange. I don't like using him, but he would be one person starting on hole 10 that I could fathom using. Otherwise, John Rahm is so damn expensive, but like I was saying earlier, I don't see how you not put him the favorite tomorrow, even if he's 2 shots back. And the guy's going full scorched earth. Tony Finau is absolutely core. Look at this. He's 3rd in position. Like 3rd in the standings. He plays calm or windy well. And he has been atrocious with the putter. And he's actually, fairly okay with with putting on POA. Fast and lightning POA. I think Finau is core. I think Homa is core. I do think Sam Ryder's core, and yes, Rahm and Finau, Homa, I imagine these guys are going to be chalky as hell. but I just don't see how you don't use him. Sam Ryder, like, he's only 7,500. He's in the lead, and his metrics are good. His metrics are good this week. It's not like he's actually underperformed his putting, his usual POA baseline performance a little bit. I just don't see how you don't use Sam Ryder at 7,500. I could perhaps see coming all the way down to Kevin Tway only because he has been very bad with the putter by his standards. But I mean, this is worrisome for sure. But he's actually been okay otherwise. Like I think Kevin Tway at 6,400 would probably be the lowest I would go. That would be about the lowest I would go. But I think I'd be okay with it if you're wanting to try to squeeze in like a Rahm. Hell, I'll even try Justin Thomas, although I think I would prefer Finau, obviously. But like if we're trying to do that and build, a stars and scrubs look, I don't know if you want to use two 6Ks. I wouldn't recommend it. But I mean, like I said, Sam Stevens seems like he would be pretty darn close to core. Like if we put Tway and Sam Stevens in here, you're at 78. Is there any way we could maybe fit a Hideki in here? If we go, let's see, we use Vegas and Callum Tarrant. I don't really like anything else up in here. Like Fratelli has drastically overperformed his putting. Like Streelman has done nothing but around the green. Like his off the tee and irons have been ugh. So I don't really like that. Brent Grant just imploded today. So I don't really like anything below Johnny Vegas in terms of 7K. So again, just in the interest of using different names, I would use Johnny Vegas here. You can use Taylor Moore, but you still only have 8,400. That didn't even get you to Adam Hadwin. Justin Rose. And the irons have been good. He's generally a good putter on POA. Like, I guess I could see it. Okay. I suppose. But, I mean, is taking those bottom three worth the top two? I don't think so. But that is a lineup idea. If you want to go to the other end of the spectrum, like if you want to start, like I would see this as another idea. I was going to say balanced, but obviously this isn't going to be terribly balanced. Shoot. Like if you wanted to go, I'll go Callum Tarrant again. But, Sam Ryder and Ryan Palmer again. Ricky. Ricky Fowler is in 9th right now. There's another idea of a lineup where you have Homa, who's in 4th, Sungjae, who's in 4th, Hideki, who's in 15th, who I think is going to play a lot better. But if you wanted to trade out Hideki for Sahith Theegala, who's in 4th, well, that would work as well. Again, I'm just trying to use different names here. There's another lineup that I think would be pretty good. But to me, I think you're using two 9K pluses And I mean, yes, I understand he's not 9K, but I'm throwing Hideki in that quote 9K pluses because he's so close to it. I think you're using 2 9K pluses, this range here. I think you're probably using a 6K. You don't have to. Like, you can make. We just made a lineup with Taryn as the bottom, but I really don't hate a Sam Stevens, even Garrick Higo. I don't hate. I don't love it, but I mean, he's drastically underperformed his putting. His ball striking has been there this week, so I don't hate Garrick Higo. And if you're really trying to get greedy, like Kevin Tway, I think will be okay. But I think you're up into here, and then choose 4 between this range here. I think is where the rest of where you're at for the majority of your lineups. Now, is that going to be pretty chalky? Maybe. But I mean, I don't see really anything in the mid or in the low 8s to high 7s. Wyndham Clark, perhaps. He generally plays difficult courses well, and the irons have been there. But he's been very bad on the South course this week. And these, remember, any stats that we get from Fantasy National is only through ShotLink. So this is 2 rounds of the 3. It's only 2 rounds. We don't have the stats for the North course. That's why John Rahm is 10th, because his first round was, no, I'm sorry, he went -4 at the North course. So his +1 round is in here. That's just how good he was today. But like, the guys who lit up the North course aren't going to be all that high here because we don't have those stats. Let's make one more. I think I'm probably going to call it an evening. Anybody in chat who wants to either throw out a name or a combination of players or like a lineup concept, throw it out in chat and we can work through it. Another name that I just kind of looked at, Nick Hardy. Yes, it's a lot of placement to make up. A lot of placement. So I'm not in love with it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to make him core. But he generally plays difficult well. Plays well when it's calm. All of the metrics have been there except for the putting. And he's drastically underperformed his putting. Like, if you wanted perhaps an outlier, like a non-chalky option at in the mid-7s, I could see a Nick Hardy. Just understand, you're not getting all those placement points. But I could see a Nick Hardy option. But really, I mean, this is just where I'm at. Where I'm putting a lot of my attention. I don't love Justin Thomas. I can understand why you would use him. But, Rahm, Finau, if you're not using Rahm, then you're going to be unique, because I think Rahm's going to be really, really widely owned. I think he wins tomorrow. But if you don't use Rahm, I mean, you're starting at 10K and below. You might not even have to go into the low 7s. Like, if we go, let's do a lineup with, I haven't seen anything in chat. Let's try to put a lineup together where we don't go lower than, say, Sam Ryder and Ryan Palmer. We can try that. So I'm going to absolutely set that as my boundary. So if that's the case, maybe, Thomas Detry might be worth it. Dean Burmester might be worth a look. I'm going to say Thomas Detry and then kind of go from there. Let's throw in Hideki into this. So 92 and 91, that's Sung Jae and Jason Day. You go Sung Jae and Sahith. Sung Jae and Jason Day. Jason Day, Sahith. Like, there's another look at a lineup, I suppose. Quite balanced. But you still got a whole lot of the placement points in there. 4th, 15th. Detry would have to make some improvement. Sure, he's 24th. But you have 24th, 15th, and 1st. If you come off of Detry and go Dean Burmester, who to me seems like he's almost the same, you could, 93. Yeah, I mean, that's like, if you go Hideki, I'll do Jason Day just because we haven't listed him. It's Jason Day and Xander. Again, you're losing some placement points there with the hope of being unique with some upside. Don't hate that. I'll put this lineup right next to its counterpart. But really, like I said, this first lineup here was pretty strong. And you don't even have to come into the 6Ks if you don't want to. I went to the 6K so I could fit Tagala. But, the more I thought about it and looked at it, like, Callum Tarrant should be pretty good tomorrow. S.H. Kim should be pretty good tomorrow, I would think. I mean, hell, S.H. Kim's tied for 8th. I mean, might have to be core. He's tied for 8th. And while we don't have any baseline putting to go from, he's put well enough this week. So, like, if I'm going to try to make my number one lineup to leave you all off with, I'm going to go S.H. Kim, Sam Ryder, Ryan Palmer. Oh my, yeah, I mean, like, can I fit a John Rahm in this? Not really. Okay, I'm not too upset with that. I'll just go Tony Finau, 88.50. Dang, it might be a tad bit too much. Maybe Sam Stevens is something. What place is Stevens in? 9th? Gugh. Wait a second. John Rahm, Tony Finau, Ryan Palmer, Sam Ryder, S.H. Kim, Sam Stevens. Is that too much? Damn it! All right, so you need to drop 100 somewhere. So S.H. Kim becomes, Johnny Vegas. Or Sam Stevens becomes Kevin Tway. Tway is 24th. I mean, you're losing a little bit there. Let's see. Which one do I like better here? Stevens and Tway. Kim versus Vegas. Honestly, I think I'd be more comfortable with the Vegas. So yeah, I'd go Sam Stevens. So I think that might be another pretty powerful quote stars and scrubs like we were trying to do here. With the double 10s. Well, the 11 and the 10. So there's 5 different lineup ideas and 9 different lineups. 2 of them, 2 concepts I gave you a couple of different looks at. But there's some lineup ideas for you for tomorrow. Again, I'm focusing on guys who are teeing off on the front 9 because hole 18 is not played as easy as it has historically, and a couple of the holes on the front 9 have played easier than they have historically. I'm generally nowhere in the low 8s to high 7s. I think Detry is okay. I think Wyndham Clark could be okay, especially since he has drastically underperformed his putter. But in general terms, I am nowhere in the low 8s and upper 7s. My top 6K plays, Sam Stevens. I really don't mind Kevin Twain. I think Garrick Higo would be okay as well in the 6Ks. But one of the first decisions you have to ask yourself: are you going to use Jon Rahm, or are you going to try to beat Jon Rahm? I think Jon Rahm wins. Does he have to be a part of your lineup? I don't think so. If you have enough placement points around him, I don't think he has to be. But I do think he is going to win the tournament tomorrow. I know that's quite a limb to go out on. I know that. Jon Rahm's pretty good at golf. But that's going to do it for the Friday Night Chill stream and the round 4 showdown look. I am looking forward here in a month and a half. Baseball is going to get started up. We'll do a lot of baseball stuff on Friday nights, and then I kind of miss gaming a little bit as well. So I'm sure I'll get back into the gaming aspect of it. But with golf fresh for the year, I've been spending a whole lot of time on the computer looking at numbers. So kind of want to get off the computer for the week and weekend. Good luck with all of your showdown contests tomorrow. Let me know in the comments or on social media how your showdown went, how your week-long went, how many wagers went. As always, I would love to shout out any members of the community who do well with all aspects of their wagers, DFS or outrights at the start of the week. And then we will look forward to the Pebble Beach on Sunday evening for the initial research. So for all of the contests, showdown contests that you enter for this weekend and for tomorrow for round 4 of the Farmers Insurance, may all your bets be profitable. Until next time.